It's 3 a.m., and the party is definitely over. The only guests left are the sad, sagging balloons clinging to the ceiling and a half-eaten cake on the coffee table with a single, sad fork sticking out of it. It's so quiet, you know? Like, the kind of quiet that buzzes in your ears and makes you feel like you're underwater. I should be crying. I think that's what people do when their life implodes in the middle of their own birthday party. But I can't. It feels like my tear ducts have been disconnected. I'm just hollow. My phone is face down on the couch cushion next to me, a dead weight. I don't need to check it again. Finley's been gone for 5 hours, and every call has gone straight to voicemail. I keep looking at the banner he hung over the TV, the one he spent 20 minutes making sure was perfectly straight. Happy birthday, Willow, in his neat, careful handwriting. It feels like a joke now, like a prop from someone else's much happier life. All I can hear is the sound of the front door clicking shut. That and the 5 words he said right before he walked through it, not shouted, just stated, like he was reading the weather. Happy birthday, Willow. I'm out. My brain is playing the movie on a loop, you know? Not the ending. Not yet. It's forcing me to watch the beginning. And the beginning was, God, it was so good. It makes this whole thing feel even more insane. He was nothing like Jard. That was the whole point. With Jard, love was a transaction. It was loud. It was a weekend trip to Napa on a private jet, a Cartier bracelet for our 6-month anniversary, a brand new convertible for my birthday. I remember the day he gave me the car. He tossed the keys on the counter of our sterile, white kitchen, said, "Happy birthday, babe," and then spent the next hour on a conference call on the balcony, pacing and shouting about quarterly earnings. The car sat in the driveway, a gleaming piece of metal that felt less like a gift and more like a bribe to keep me occupied. His love was armor, you know, something for him to hide behind so he never had to actually be present. Then came Finley. Finley's love was quiet. It was steady. The first time he cooked for me, it wasn't some fancy 5-course meal. It was mac and cheese from a box because I'd had a horrible day at work, and he said I needed emergency comfort food. He wasn't a showman, he was a caretaker. He'd remember things I didn't even remember saying. I mentioned once, just in passing, that I used to love this obscure poet in college. 2 weeks later, he found a worn-out copy of her first collection in a dusty second-hand bookstore and left it on my pillow. It probably cost him $5. It meant more to me than the car. Honestly, it did. And that's the part that's really messing with my head right now. It was in the little things. The things nobody sees, the things you can't post on Instagram. Like the time I got a stomach flu so bad I couldn't move. He didn't just drop off some Gatorade. He built a pillow fort in the living room, downloaded all 3 Lord of the Rings extended editions, and just sat with me in the dark, handing me a glass of water every so often. He didn't complain about the smell or the mess. He was just there. His presence was the gift. My friends all saw the difference. My best friend, Jessica, pulled me aside a few months into me and Finley dating. She just said, "You're lighter with him, Willow. You laugh from your stomach now." And she was right. I had stopped feeling like I had to perform. With Jard, every outing was a photo op, a chance to prove how perfect our lives were. With Finley, I could wear sweatpants with a hole in the knee and my hair in a greasy bun, and he'd just pull me in and kiss the top of my head. I traded a life that looked good for one that felt good. I knew it. On a conscious level, I knew I'd won the lottery. He was real. We were real. So why? Why did I feel the need to burn it all to the ground? It's funny the things your brain chooses to forget, and the things it decides to burn into your memory. I remember the night he told me. It wasn't some big, dramatic, sit-down conversation. It was just a random Tuesday. We were walking home after seeing a movie, and we stopped to get gelato. There was a couple in front of us, and the guy was being a jerk. Not in a yelling, abusive way. It was quieter, more insidious. His girlfriend was trying to decide on a flavor, and he just sighed really loudly and said to the server, "Just give her vanilla. She'll stand there all night otherwise." He said it with a smile, like it was a cute little joke, but it wasn't. It was a dismissal. I saw the look on her face. It was this flash of humiliation that she tried to cover up with a tight little smile. Finley saw it too. He didn't say anything, but I felt his hand tighten around mine, and the easy, happy mood we were in just evaporated. Later, when we got back to our apartment, he was still quiet. He was just standing in the kitchen, staring out the window. I came up behind him and wrapped my arms around his waist. "Hey," I said softly, "you okay?" He turned around and leaned against the counter. "My dad does that to my mom," he said. His voice was flat. Not exactly like that, but the same energy. "My dad is this big, successful guy, you know? Charms everyone he meets. But when we're with other people, at dinner parties or family events, he'll do these little things to undermine her. He'll tell a story, and if she tries to add a detail, he'll just wave his hand and go, 'No, no, you're telling it wrong,' and then retell it in a way that makes her sound silly. He calls it teasing, but it's not. It's making her small, piece by piece, in front of everyone." He looked right at me then, and his eyes were so serious it kind of took my breath away. I used to watch her face just shut down. She'd get that same tight smile as the girl in the gelato shop. And I swore to myself I would never, ever be in a relationship like that. On either side of it. He took my hands. "Willow, I just need you to know I can handle anything. We can argue, we can disagree, I can be wrong, you can be wrong, all of that is fine. But I cannot handle that. I can't handle being made to feel worthless. Especially not by the person I love, and especially not in front of other people. For me, that's the one thing. That's the line." And what did I do? I leaned in and kissed him. I said, "Of course, I would never ever do that to you." And I meant it. But in my head, I heard it as an abstract thing, a problem that other, crueler people had. It didn't feel like a real warning. It felt like him sharing a vulnerability. It didn't register as a tripwire. Now, replaying that memory, it's like watching a bomb disposal expert carefully explaining which wire not to cut. And I just smiled, patted his hand, and tucked a pair of wire cutters in my back pocket for later. I wish I could say it happened all at once, that there was one big, stupid mistake. But it wasn't like that. It was a slow poisoning. I was the one holding the dropper, adding a little bit of poison to our water every single day. And the poison's name was Jard. It started so small, so innocently, that I barely even noticed I was doing it. We'd be driving in his perfectly fine, reliable Honda, and I'd say something like, "Oh, this road is so bumpy. It's funny, you'd never feel this in Jard's BMW. It had that special suspension, you know? It felt like you were floating." I'd say it casually, like I was just making an observation. But it wasn't an observation. It was a comparison. And in every comparison, Finley came up short. I'd see a flicker of something in his eyes, a tiny shuddering. His knuckles would get a little whiter on the steering wheel. He wouldn't get mad. He'd just say, "Oh, right," and change the subject. And my sick, twisted brain didn't see that as a sign to stop. It saw it as a sign that it was working. What was it working towards? God, I don't even know. I think a part of me, a broken, insecure part that Jard had nurtured so well, believed that love was a competition. That if Finley felt like he wasn't measuring up to this ghost of a rich ex-boyfriend, he would. What? Try harder. Buy me more things. I was trying to turn him into Jard, the very man I had left because he was emotionally bankrupt. It makes no sense. I had the real thing, and I was trying to trade it in for a cheap imitation. It became a habit, this casual cruelty. When he'd surprise me with takeout from my favorite Thai place, a place he only knew about because he'd listened to me ramble for an hour about their pad CEO, I'd say, "This is great, thanks." It reminds me of that place Jard took me to in Tribeca, the one that had a Michelin star. I saw the pride on his face curdle into something else, something tired. The worst was when it wasn't about money. Finley is a physical therapist. He loves his job, the way he gets to help people recover. He came home one day, absolutely glowing, because a patient of his, an old woman who'd had a stroke, had been able to lift her arm to hug her grandson for the first time. He was so proud. And I listened, and I smiled, and then I said, "That's so wonderful, honey. It's amazing that you're so fulfilled by that." A pause. It's just so different from Jard's world. He was a VP at his investment firm by 28. The pressure was insane. He was making deals worth millions before breakfast. Why did I say that? To show him what ambition looked like, to diminish his victory. I saw the light go out of his eyes. He just nodded, said, "Yeah, well, different worlds," and went to take a shower. He started to withdraw. The date nights he used to meticulously plan became, "What do you want to do?" The spontaneous hugs in the kitchen stopped. He started spending more time on his laptop after dinner, creating a little digital wall between us. The silence wasn't comfortable anymore, it was heavy. It was the sound of him giving up, little by little. I was so caught up in my own stupid test that I didn't realize he was the one grading me, and I was failing. Miserably. The movie always slows down at this part. My brain forces me to watch it in excruciating detail, frame by agonizing frame. The party was perfect. It was everything I secretly wanted, but would never have admitted to. It wasn't a flashy, expensive affair in some rented-out bar. It was at our apartment, and it was filled with all the people I actually loved. Finley had spent the whole day cooking. The place smelled like garlic bread and roasted chicken. He'd even made my favorite lemon tart from scratch, the one my grandma used to make, from a recipe he'd gotten from my mom. He remembered, of course he did. Everyone was happy. The music was good, the wine was flowing. I felt for a moment genuinely happy. Then came the gifts. He brought out a small, rectangular box wrapped in simple brown paper. Inside was a book. It was that poetry collection I'd told him about months ago, the one by the obscure author that had been out of print for decades. I'd been searching for it online for years with no luck. He'd found a first edition, and it was signed. He tracked down the author, who was now like 80 years old and living in Vermont, and sent it to her to be signed. I was speechless. I just stared at her spidery signature on the title page. I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes. This wasn't a gift you could buy with a credit card. This was a gift of time, of effort, of listening. My friend Jessica leaned over and squeezed my arm. "Oh my God, Willow," she whispered. "He's incredible. He really, really adores you." And that's when the poison took over. I don't know why. Maybe it was the pressure of all those eyes on me. Maybe it was the ghost of my old, flashy life whispering in my ear. I held up the book, this priceless, perfect gift, and I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a brittle, ugly sound. "It's amazing," I said, my voice a little too loud. And then, as Jessica beamed and Finley watched me with this soft, proud smile on his face, I looked at him, right in front of all our friends, and the words just fell out of my mouth. "It's great, really. I mean, Jard got me a car for my birthday once, but a book is nice too, so thanks." The silence wasn't just silence, it was a physical thing. It sucked all the air out of the room. Every smile froze and shattered. I saw the color drain from Finley's face. The soft, proud smile didn't just disappear. It was wiped away, leaving behind something I'd never seen before. A complete and total emptiness. It was the look of a man watching something he loved die right in front of him. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He just stood there for a second, the whole party holding its breath. Then he nodded, a tiny, sharp movement. He picked his jacket up off the back of the chair. He walked to the door, paused, and looked back at me. His voice was unnervingly calm. "Happy birthday, Willow, I'm out." And then he was gone. The door clicked shut and the spell broke. A few people let out awkward coughs. Someone's phone buzzed loudly on the table. The party was over. People started making excuses, avoiding my eyes as they gathered their coats and bags. "It's getting late. I have an early morning. Hope you guys work it out." Within 15 minutes, the apartment was empty. I just stood there, in the middle of the room, clutching the signed book to my chest. For a few minutes, I was just numb. Then the panic hit me like a tidal wave. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking so badly I could barely type his name. I called. Voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I sent a text. "Finley, I am so sorry. I don't know why I said that. It was a stupid, horrible joke. Please come back." Delivered, but no reply. "Please just talk to me. I'm an idiot. I love you." Delivered, nothing. An hour later, I tried to check his Instagram, his Facebook. Page not found. "This user may have blocked you." The finality of it was like a punch to the gut. He hadn't just left, he had surgically removed me from his life. The next morning, I called Jessica, sobbing and incoherent, expecting sympathy. What I got was a cold, hard dose of reality. "What do you mean, he's overreacting?" she said, and her voice had none of its usual warmth. It was sharp, like little shards of glass. "Willow, what did you expect?" "It was a joke, a stupid joke," I cried. "No, it wasn't," she shot back. "A joke is funny. That was a public execution. We all saw it. You took this beautiful, thoughtful thing he did, this thing that was so perfectly him, and you basically spat on it. You held it up next to a price tag and told him and all of us that he wasn't enough. You didn't just embarrass him, Willow. You humiliated him. You made him small. Her words hung in the air, and I suddenly remembered that conversation in the kitchen. The story about his dad. The warning, I cannot handle being made to feel worthless, especially not by the person I love and especially not in front of other people. It wasn't a tripwire. It was a landmine, and I had jumped on it with both feet. I didn't mean to, I whispered, the fight draining out of me. I know you didn't, Jessica said, and her voice softened a little, but the judgment was still there. That's the saddest part. You just did it anyway. And so now I'm back here. In the quiet, in the aftermath. It's been 3 days. I've been mechanically cleaning up the apartment, throwing away the withered balloons and boxing up the uneaten cake. Every task feels like burying a piece of evidence. Yesterday, I was clearing off his side of the desk, a space that was always so much neater than mine. Tucked under a stack of his physical therapy journals was a small, velvet ring box. My heart stopped. It wasn't from a fancy jeweler. The receipt tucked inside was from a local artisan I'd admired months ago, someone who makes unique, delicate rings out of silver and sea glass. The purchase date was from 3 weeks ago. It wasn't an engagement ring. It was just a ring, another quiet, thoughtful gift, another piece of him I had never gotten to see. I don't know when he was planning to give it to me. Maybe he was waiting for the right moment after the party. A moment I had incinerated. I'm holding my phone now, staring at our last text exchange. My desperate, unanswered messages, and then just nothing. The red exclamation mark next to his name on my contact list feels like a permanent scar. A part of my brain, the angry, defensive part, is screaming. It's screaming that this is insane. That people fight, they say stupid things, they apologize, and they work it out. You don't just detonate a 2-year relationship over one sentence. It's cruel, it's disproportionate. He didn't even give me a chance to fix it. But then another voice, a quieter, more honest voice, whispers the truth. It wasn't one sentence. It was 1,000 tiny cuts, and that last one just happened to be the one that severed the artery. He gave me a chance. He gave me a clear, explicit warning about his deepest wound, and I spent the next year poking it with a stick to see what would happen. And now I know. So I just sit here, on the couch, flipping between 2 channels in my head. He's a monster for leaving like this, and you're a monster for making him leave. The movie just keeps replaying, over and over, and I can't find the remote to turn it off.